Hello, and first of all, I want to say thank you to DETC and Australasian College for this award. I'm very humbled and very honored to be here. I'm a graduate of the Holistic Health Program at Australasian College, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and how I ended up going to school at Australasian College. In the late 90s, I began to have numerous health problems, including chronic fatigue, Epstein-Barr, fibromyalgia, and high blood pressure. I was on 2 high blood pressure medications at that time. Then around in 2000, I began to have breathing difficulties. Discovered I had fibrosis and scarring in the lungs. Was then put on oxygen and ended up being on oxygen for almost 3 years. At that time, I was only given several months to live. For those of you that are familiar with oxygen levels, your oxygen levels should be in the 90s. Even with oxygen, mine was in the 50s. And every time I go to the doctor, he goes, I just don't understand how you're walking in here. The pulmonologist at that time wanted to put me in the hospital, collapse my lung, and do a biopsy and put me on steroids. The first time in my life I said no to a medical doctor. It was real hard for me to do. I had a friend who was a nurse, and she had been going to a traditional naturopath, and she said, Kim, don't do that biopsy. Don't let them collapse your lung. Go see this naturopath. So on my date, I went and saw that naturopath. It was amazing because the medical doctors and pulmonologists couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. First visit there, she knew it was environmental toxins, what was causing the problem, and put me on an herbal protocol. Over the course of about 6 to 8 months, I did different herbal protocols. The medical doctor ended up taking me off both of my high blood pressure medications. And at the end of that, on my last CT scan, 90% of that fibrosis and scarring was gone, something that's not supposed to go away. Of course, my pulmonologist called it a miracle, but I knew what it was that had done it. So because of that experience, I said, you know, I have got to learn more about this because I want to be able to help other people. The traditional naturopath that I was going to offered to let me apprentice with her, so I learned a lot from her. She taught me kinesiology and about herbs. And during that time, I also met another friend who was a master herbalist, and I also began apprenticing with her. At that point, my friend said, you know, Kim, you really should go to school and learn more about this. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm in my 40s. I don't know if I can do that. And she goes, oh, you can do it. You can do it. So she suggested Australasian College because that's where she had attended. The traditional naturopath attended a different college. So I started doing some research, and there were several schools I really looked at. During that time, I also started learning about health freedom. What I had found out in the state of Colorado, and actually in many states, the traditional naturopath that I attended actually was practicing illegally in the state of Colorado. And I thought, oh my goodness, you know, I don't want that taken away from me because that's very important for people to be able to go see the practitioner of their choice. So when I was looking at the schools, Australasian College was legitimately accredited. And so I thought, you know, with all these health freedom issues I'm seeing, it's very important that I go to an accredited college. So that really was one of the major reasons I chose this school. So I want you to understand how important that really is, and I'm very grateful for that. As I said, it's been since 1981 since I've been in college, so I was a little nervous when I first started school, but the instructors and staff were great. They were always there. I could reach them by telephone, by email, or online when I had questions, and I had a lot of questions. I hope that they didn't get too tired of listening to me calling all the time asking questions. The other thing was, which was great, was not just the instructors, but Doreen and the other staff were always great when I wanted to have questions or had suggestions, and they genuinely cared about me, and I thought that was very evident, and I really appreciate that. I love the flexibility. I tend to be somewhat of a night owl, so I could be studying and doing work at 2 o'clock in the morning when I wanted to. After I got through with school, I started learning more about the health freedom issues. I started volunteering more in Colorado and working. We're still trying to get a health freedom bill passed in Colorado, and we have successfully defeated some dangerous bills that would have been even worse for Colorado. Last year, I also went out and volunteered and did my time to Delaware, where there was a dangerous bill that was going to prevent other nutritionists and holistic health practitioners from giving out nutritional advice. And so we got a bill passed with a good exemption that protects those people. After that, I was offered a job helping with health freedom in the United States, in all 50 states. So that's what I've been doing. This year alone, I've worked in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Virginia, Maryland, Ohio, Montana, Iowa, and Colorado. There are only 6 states that have health freedom laws right now, and those are Minnesota, Rhode Island, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Idaho, and California. I'm hoping to really try to get health freedom bills in all 50 states. One thing I've noticed is when I speak with legislators, not only in Colorado, but Delaware and other states that I've been in, I think someone else previously mentioned this, well, distance education, you can just get that online, pay a few bucks, and then you have your diploma. So I'm really, really working hard on educating these legislators on distance education is a good education. There's legitimate accredited schools out there, and you can, and out turns great graduates that have a lot of knowledge, and they are great schools. So I'm still working on that because it's amazing how many of the legislators still think that it's not a good school if you don't attend on campus. I truly believe that I would not be here today had I not shown that natural path. Because of that, it is my passion to ensure that health practitioners are able to practice legally in all 50 states, and that every citizen does have the right and freedom to choose to go to the holistic and natural health care practitioner of their choice. Again, I want to thank Australasian College, DETC, and also my family who's been there to support me throughout the years and help, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.